It's possible that I've lost control of the flamingo situation. But look at my legs. You want to know the worst thing? I didn't buy this for me. Oh no, I bought this for Harrison. There's just so many things wrong with that. Isn't it incredible that after, 4 or 5 years of me saying I'm going to remake this video, that I'm actually finally remaking it? See, Erin does get to things eventually, she just takes the long path to get there. Anyway, today we'll be talking about all of the most basic supplies you'll need for caring for your hamster. Contrary to the beliefs of many people and unfortunately pet shops, hamsters actually require a large amount of space for their enclosure. In the wild, hamsters have absolutely enormous territories. When a hamster is kept in too small of an enclosure, it becomes impossible to provide them with their most basic needs, including enough enrichment to prevent them from becoming bored and stressed. Because of this, it's incredibly important that you provide your hamster with the biggest enclosure you possibly can. The absolute bare minimum size a hamster's home must exceed is 450 square inches. Now, there is a lot of misconception as to what the phrase bare minimum means. Some people mistakenly believe that bare minimum is the recommended size for the animal, or that bare minimum sizes are large, when in fact bare minimum size cages are actually very small cages, because they are the smallest possible cage you can keep that animal in before their home is considered inhumane. It's an important distinction to understand, because there are still a lot of people who think that a bare minimum size cage is what they should be aiming for. And there's an equal number of people who see their hamsters displaying stress or boredom behaviors and assume it can't possibly be the cage because their cage is over bare minimum. That bare minimum size is there as a starting point for us, but it does not guarantee that it will be enough space for your animal, and in many cases it won't be. In the future, I will be making a dedicated video on how to choose a suitable enclosure, so we can go into this topic in a lot more detail. Basic item number 2 that you need for your hamster is a travel cage. These are essential for when you need to take your hamster to the vets, or even when you're first bringing them home, because depending on where you get them, you may be giving your hamster in a small cardboard box, which isn't the safest option. So taking a travel cage with you to put them in will make sure they are much safer for the journey home. There are lots of different options when it comes to commercial travel cages. You can buy both those that are actually sold as travel cages, or you can also buy just a small commercial hamster cage. But if you're looking for a more budget-friendly option, I would recommend just building yourself a mini bin cage. These are made from small plastic storage containers. They have a window of mesh on top. It's very easy to cut out the plastic and then attach the mesh, and that's it. You have a nice, simple, secure travel cage. This one cost me €3, so very budget-friendly. Basic item number 3 is a safe substrate, and there are lots and lots of them out there. I have an entire video talking about safe and unsafe substrates, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here, otherwise I'll just take up excess time in this video that we don't need to waste. That video will be linked in the description box down below, so you can go and watch it after you've watched this video. But just to summarize one of the most important points, do not get your hamster pine shavings or cedar shavings. These are the most commonly sold shavings in pet shops. They are often what's promoted by pet shops to use with your small animals, but they are very dangerous. I go into more detail as to why in that video. The long-term use of either of these substrates can cause serious damage to your hamster's respiratory system. Now, it is important to note there's a difference between pine shavings and solid pine. Solid pine can be used for building cages or making hamster toys. That is perfectly safe, but pine shavings should never be used for your hamster's substrate. However, aspen shavings, birchwood shavings, and beechwood are all safe options, as well as paper substrates, certain soils, and several other options. Basic item number 4 is a safe nesting material. Now, thankfully, since the last time I made this video, most people tend to know that you're not to use fluffy or cotton beddings with your hamsters. Back in the day, there was a big issue with people using that stuff. It's very dangerous for your hamster and definitely something that needs to be avoided. My personal recommendation for a safe and budget-friendly nesting material would be simply to use toilet tissue. All you need to do is take a few sheets of it, tear it up into pieces and give it to your hamster, and they'll use it to build themselves a warm and comfortable nest. Basic item number 5 is a suitable wheel. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of unsuitable and unsafe wheels sold in the pet care market, Barred wheels, for example, are not safe for hamsters, neither are mesh wheels, although these are safe for some other animals. And it's incredibly important that you're buying the right sized wheel for your hamster. A hamster needs to be able to run with a straight spine. If they are running on a wheel that's too small, their back will be arching in an unnatural position, and the long-term use of these small wheels can cause permanent damage to their spines. A simplified rule for wheel sizes is that dwarf and Chinese hamsters should have an 8-inch wheel, while Syrian hamsters should have an 11-inch wheel. Now, there is a little bit of wiggle room there for smaller Syrians having an 8-inch wheel and very large Syrians even needing a 12-inch wheel, but there's also a little wiggle room for dwarfs, as Roborovsky dwarfs can often use a 6-inch wheel without any problems. Once again though, I have made an entire video on this subject, so if you need more help and more information for choosing a suitable wheel, make sure you go check out the video. It will also be linked in the description box. Basic necessity number 6 is a large selection of toys. Hamsters are often underestimated as being stupid or simple animals, and so people think they don't need that much to do. They just need a couple of chew toys and a wheel to run around in. When hamsters' brains aren't stimulated enough, they very quickly become bored, and boredom can lead to stress, which can have a serious negative effect on their health. Although things like tunnels and small climbing toys and chews are very important for your hamster, it's just as important that you provide things to exercise their brains. For example, simple puzzle toys, forage toys, hanging treat kebabs. These are all toys that require you to put your hamster's food in more difficult situations, meaning they have to think about it more in order to get their snack. And providing a digging area is really important too. Hamsters are burrowing animals and they love to dig, they love to build burrows. So if you can't provide an entire cage full of several inches of substrate, you should at least provide a digging box of some kind in which you can hide lots of treats and nice snacks, or even the hamster's whole meal, so they have to really dig around and look for it in order to get their food. I found a very common pattern with the people who say that their hamster seems to be bored all the time and their enclosures not having any kind of puzzle toys or digging area or things that will stimulate the hamster's brain. So it is really, really important that you provide these things. Supply number 7 is either a water bottle or a water bowl. Either way, your hamster needs 24-hour access to fresh and clean drinking water. Now, there are pros and cons to both bottles and bowls, and it's really down to the preferences of the owner and the individual hamster as to which you choose to use. And instead of plugging my own video for this one, because the one I made was back in like 2014 and I have a feeling probably needs updating, I'm going to instead link you to Victoria Rachel's video on bottles versus bowls. She did this just a couple of weeks ago. It's a very recent and up-to-date topic, and that will also be down in the description box. My description box is just going to be full of links. Basic supply number 8 is hamster food. Now, this is definitely not one that I can completely cover in this video because it's such an in-depth topic and one that actually intimidates me quite a bit. A healthy diet is incredibly important. It is the foundation of the animal's health, so it's really, really important that you go and do plenty of research on hamster diets and on the kind of foods that are healthy and aren't healthy. Like I say, this can be a very deep and complicated topic. It can get very confusing, especially because there are so many different commercial mixes available for hamsters, some of which are very good, some of which are truly awful, and others sit somewhere in between. Because I am not particularly comfortable or confident with this particular topic, I highly recommend you go to hamster forums to do your research. My two favorites being Hamster Central and Hamster Hideout. Both of them have a wealth of information on what mixes are safe and unsafe, healthy and unhealthy, and there are members on both forums who would be glad to help you out with any diet related questions you have. Also, along with food, you may choose to buy your hamster a food bowl to eat out of, though this is completely optional because you can also scatter their food around their home, which is often more stimulating for them. And the final basic necessity you need for your hamsters, one of the most important things, is a vet. Obviously, I don't mean a vet living in your home. You don't even have to be related to a vet. You just have to have a vet within easy access that knows how to treat hamsters. And that's an important thing to keep in mind. Not all vets know how to treat hamsters. Because hamsters are classed as exotics, you'll often need to take them to exotic vets for medical treatment. Now, exotic vets are a little more expensive because they are more specialized, and also the animals they're working on are often more delicate. So it's just as important that you are putting money aside regularly to save up for potential vet funds. Now, your hamster may never need to go to the vet in its life. That does happen. I've had several hamsters go through their entire lives never needing vet treatment, but you never know when that's going to happen. Hamsters don't need to be spayed and neutered for non-medical reasons or even get yearly vaccinations, but if they get sick, you have to get them medical treatment. Also, if you're in a position where you're financially dependent on someone else, for example, your parents if you're younger, make sure you discuss with them the potential of vet fees before getting a hamster. I cannot tell you how many stories over the years I've heard from my own viewers and from other people's viewers where children will have a pet hamster, their hamster gets sick, and the parents are just not willing to get that animal treatment, and the kid knows the animal needs treatment, and it's completely heartbreaking because they have to watch their pet suffer and die a slow death because this wasn't something they knew their parents wouldn't support. So please, it is so important, if you are financially dependent on another person, talk with them about this possibility first, and if they are not willing to get medical treatment for your hamster if it becomes ill, do not get a hamster. Wait a few years until you've got your own money, until you have your own job. I know it sucks to have to wait, but believe me, it will be so much less heartbreaking for you. You really do have to be responsible about the situation and put the needs of the hamster before your own wants to have them as a pet. So that's my list of the most basic supplies you will need before getting a hamster. It's really important that you have all this stuff ready before you bring the pet home, have everything set up and ready to go. Of course, these aren't the only things you may want to get for your hamster. There's lots of other optional things, for example, sand baths and litter trays. There's a whole world of other things you can get for them. But hopefully this basic supply list will give you a good jumping off point as you enter the world of hamster keeping. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to check out all those links in the description box down below. You can share this video with your friends and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through to the end and supporting the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.